Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first four tech giants plan a $300 billion I spend fueling a $1 trillion replacement of the entire computing industry. So we'll discuss why this massive investment signals a new geopolitical battleground and what it means for the future of the entire computing stack. Second, Samsung's 50,000 GPU AI Megafactory deal with Nvidia reveals a complex web of co-opetition in the semiconductor industry. In this episode, we'll break down this critical development and what it signals for the global semiconductor ecosystem and the battle over HBM memory. Third, autonomous wagons and magnetic propulsion tech from US and European startups aim to disrupt the global rail freight industry. This discussion will reveal how these innovations connect to a larger US versus Europe competition and what it means for the future of global logistics. Fourth, Google's free premium AI giveaway to 500 million Indian users triggers a land grab for data and market dominance. We'll analyze why this giveaway is a turning point and how it could affect AI adoption, data privacy, and the competitive dynamics for smaller startups. Fifth, over 90% of commercial real estate firms are piloting AI, but a 5% success rate highlights a massive gap between ambition and reality. Today, we'll take a closer look at this AI pilot purgatory and its implications for enterprise AI adoption and the unseen war over proprietary data. Let's start with a single statistic that might just change your entire perspective on the AI boom. 4 of the biggest tech giants on the planet are planning to spend over $300 billion on AI in 2025 alone. That's the staggering figure from Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft as they race to build out their AI infrastructure. But that's not the whole picture. This isn't just a corporate spending spree. It's becoming a new geopolitical battleground. Continuing our last discussion on big tech's build-outs, we're now seeing a clear split between the private sector-led approach in the US and the state-driven sovereign AI initiatives in places like the EU and the UAE. A few days ago, we mentioned how Saudi Arabia aims to become the third largest AI provider in the world, and that's the point. Nations are now competing to host these massive AI factories. This creates a race for resources like energy, water, and talent, much like the historic scrambles for oil. As we've discussed, the IEA projects AI will double data center electricity demand by 2030, making control over power a key strategic advantage. According to Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, this is just the beginning. He just went on the record declaring that artificial intelligence has officially entered a virtuous cycle. He describes it as a feedback loop that can't be stopped. Better AI models attract more users, which generates more profit, which then funds the creation of even better AI. The cycle is locked in and it's fueling this explosion in spending. Now, you might be thinking, is this just another tech bubble like the dot-com crash? And that's a fair question. The context here is different though. The dot-com bubble was fueled by speculative investments in hundreds of unprofitable startups. Today's AI boom is being bankrolled by the massive profits of established, stable companies. At the peak of the dot-com bubble, the Nasdaq's forward P divided by E ratio, a key valuation metric, was over 60. Today, it's less than half of that, suggesting that while excitement is high, the financial foundations are far more solid. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. Huang argues that this isn't just a new product cycle, it's the end of an era. He stated that the computer industry has been largely the same for 60 years, and now what he estimates is over $1 trillion worth of existing computers needs to be transitioned to this new AI platform. This $1 trillion replacement is far from simple though. It's not just about swapping out one chip for another. Companies face huge technical hurdles, like making their existing software compatible with this new hardware. And it's creating a battle royale in the chip industry. Competitors like AMD and Intel are now racing to develop their own AI accelerators to challenge Nvidia's dominance. But as we analyzed a while back, the competition is more complex. While the world has been obsessed with AI training Nvidia's home turf, the next front is inference, where specialized, hyper-efficient chips from other players are emerging. This transition is going to be a hard-fought, multi-front war, not a simple upgrade. The core of the conflict is a fundamental technology shift. According to Huang, every single layer of the computing stack is being fundamentally changed. The old world ran on CPUs. The new world runs on GPUs, the engine of AI. This isn't an upgrade. It's a complete replacement of the foundation of modern computing. Nvidia, which just became the first company to surpass a $5 trillion market value, is at the center of this storm. This also creates a massive systemic risk, something we've warned about before when discussing the formation of a compute oligopoly. When one company becomes the foundation for an entire global revolution, it becomes a potential single point of failure. The whole world is seeing a similar risk with the company TSMC, which makes most of the world's advanced chips. Any disruption to Nvidia, be it from geopolitics, a cyber attack, or even just production delays, could send shockwaves through the entire tech industry. The ultimate endgame, as Huang paints it, is AI reshaping nearly every industry on the planet. This isn't just about faster computers, it's about transforming an estimated $100 trillion worth of the global economy. After all, we're witnessing a fundamental shift from AI as a tool to AI as a worker. Research shows that industries that heavily integrate AI, like finance and IT, are already seeing labor productivity growth nearly 5 times greater than other sectors. And here's the kicker. Jobs that require AI skills already command an average salary premium of 25% in the US. This is how that $100 trillion transformation begins, not just by making things faster, but by creating a new class of autonomous cognitive labor that will redefine work itself. Speaking of Nvidia's unstoppable momentum, another tech giant is making a huge bet on their hardware. Samsung just announced it's building something it calls an AI Megafactory, and to power it, the company is buying a staggering 50,000 of Nvidia's most advanced graphics processing units. To put that scale into perspective, the sheer energy involved is immense. Just one of these top-tier Nvidia GPUs can use up to 700 watts of power. So, for a 50,000 GPU facility, we are talking about a power draw of 35 megawatts. That's roughly the same amount of electricity needed to power a small city. We've talked a while back about this massive build-out with data centers potentially consuming a huge slice of the national power grid. This AI Megafactory is the latest and one of the most striking examples of that trend. The cost and engineering to build and cool a facility like this are astronomical, going way beyond just the price of the chips. This move is the latest splashy deal for Nvidia, whose chips are now essential for anyone serious about artificial intelligence. It's a dominance that, as we touched on just last week, has made Nvidia the first company in history to reach a $5 trillion market valuation. What really brought this to a head was the next development. Shortly after announcing a wave of new partnerships, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang was spotted in South Korea drinking beer with Samsung chairman Lee Jae-yong, sealing the deal in a scene straight out of a high-stakes business drama. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. This isn't just a corporate photo op. This is part of a much bigger story about national strategy. South Korea is pursuing what it calls sovereign AI, a government-backed push to become a top 3 global AI leader. Instead of just state funding, they are leveraging their massive industrial giants, the chaebols like Samsung, to build a self-sufficient AI ecosystem, reducing reliance on foreign tech. This mirrors a global theme we've discussed before, with other giants like Google and Amazon also developing their own chips to reduce their dependency on a single supplier. This deal is a key piece of that national ambition. So what does Samsung, a tech giant in its own right, get out of this? According to Nvidia, this partnership will supercharge Samsung's own chip-making process, resulting in a 20-fold performance increase. Here's how that actually works. They are using this massive computing power to create what's called a digital twin of their entire semiconductor factory. Using Nvidia's Omniverse platform, they can build a perfect virtual replica of the real-world facility. This allows them to simulate and optimize the entire chip-making process in the virtual world before doing it for real. They can spot tiny defects and fix bottlenecks in the lithography process with incredible precision, which is how they get that huge performance jump. Samsung will also use the new firepower to run its own AI models for its mobile devices and robots. Now, you might be wondering, how do you take an AI model trained in a giant megafactory and get it to run on a smartphone? The answer is a hybrid strategy. Samsung is developing its own AI called Samsung Gauss. It comes in different sizes, including a compact version specifically designed to run efficiently on your device without needing to constantly connect to the cloud. This allows for powerful features on your phone while still protecting your privacy. Believe it or not, this isn't a simple transaction. Samsung is also a key supplier to Nvidia, making the high-performance memory its new partner needs for its AI chips. This means Samsung is now a partner, a massive customer, and a critical supplier all at the same time. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, Samsung is supplying the critical high bandwidth memory, or HBM, that Nvidia needs for its GPUs, while on the other, it's developing its own AI accelerator chips, like the Mach 1, that could one day compete directly with Nvidia's. We've previously pointed out that HBM is a key battleground where competitors like AMD try to gain an edge by offering more of it. Now, Samsung is at the very center of that dynamic. It's a delicate balancing act where each company needs the other to succeed, but is also positioning to challenge them. This complex web of deals supports a stunning claim from Nvidia's CEO that the company has a $500 billion book of business just from its current and next generation GPUs. The message from the market is clear. In the new economy of artificial intelligence, all roads lead through Nvidia, and even the biggest giants in technology are lining up to pay for access. We've been talking about the digital infrastructure of the future, but what about the physical? A couple of startups are now aiming to disrupt one of the oldest industries around rail freight. One of them, Parallel Systems, is making a bold claim that it won't just improve the rail industry, but double it. The company says that if it can capture just 10% of the trucking market, it will have effectively doubled the entire rail freight business. For decades, rail has had a huge Achilles heel, inflexibility. It's great for moving massive amounts of goods between major hubs, but it's terrible at the so-called last mile problem. A traditional train can't just drop off one container at a small town. It needs a huge yard and lots of coordination. This is why trucking dominates door-to-door logistics. Parallel Systems is trying to give rail the flexibility of trucking. Their plan is to ditch the traditional 2-kilometer long locomotive pulled train. Instead, they're creating what they call atomized freight fleets of individual battery powered wagons that move independently, like packets in a distribution center with a range of 800 kilometers. Now, get this. The hardware is only half the story. The real challenge is the software. Managing thousands of autonomous wagons on a shared network is an immense logistical puzzle. It requires advanced perception systems like cameras and LiDAR and AI-driven analytics to see what's on the tracks in real time. The complexity is similar to air traffic control or even data packet switching, where information is dynamically routed through the internet. It's a total rethink of how rail traffic is managed. But they aren't the only ones trying to reinvent the train. A Polish startup named Nivomo has developed a system that eliminates the locomotive completely. Their founder and chief executive says it directly, "We eliminate locomotives completely." They do this by retrofitting existing tracks with an electromagnetic propulsion system. A magnetic field generated between the rails propels individual wagons, allowing them to operate in groups or on their own. This decision to retrofit brings both potential benefits, like cost effectiveness, and comes with inherent risks. It's a huge engineering headache to ensure this new propulsion system is structurally compatible with tracks that could be a century old. There are also major questions about maintenance and, most importantly, interoperability. It's a classic retrofit versus rebuild dilemma, and the jury is still out on whether it's a true shortcut or a potential dead end. These radical new systems are part of a larger push to electrify railways and ditch diesel. Even conventional electric trains are getting a futuristic upgrade. At Aldershot in the UK, a company called Riding Sunbeams has installed solar panels that feed power directly to the tracks. The founder calls it the cheapest electricity a railway can buy, meaning on a sunny day, your train is being powered, in part, directly by the Sunday. This provides a glimpse of a totally new model. Decentralised energy grids built just for railways. As national power grids struggle with new demand, creating localised microgrids that use solar or even hydrogen can power sections of the railway independently. This enhances energy resilience and could make electrification cheaper by avoiding massive upgrades to the national grid. From magnetic propulsion to solar-powered tracks and self-driving freight wagons, the race is on. These technologies are all physically feasible. The fight is no longer just about creating a greener railway. It's a high-stakes battle to fundamentally change how goods are moved, challenging the dominance of diesel and taking direct aim at the trucking industry. And this has become a global competition. We're seeing the US and Europe taking completely different paths. In the US, where rail is private and freight is king, the focus is on longer, heavier, more profitable trains. But in Europe, where networks are often state-owned and passenger-focused, the priority is interoperability and speed. This means we're seeing competing visions for the future of rail, with American, Polish, and British firms all vying to set the standard for the next generation. This isn't just about better trains, it's about geopolitical and economic advantage. Speaking of global competition, the battle for AI dominance is heating up in a massive new market. The most unexpected news in the tech world today has to be Google's latest move in India. They're giving away their premium AI service, a package valued at nearly $400 per person for free. And not just to a few early adopters, we're talking about a potential audience of over 500 million users. So the thing is, this is a classic loss leader strategy. The goal isn't just to be generous, it's to rapidly acquire a massive user base and lock them into the Google ecosystem. Think about it. That free deal comes with 2 terabytes of Google Cloud storage. Once you fill that up, you're much more likely to stick with Google. This is a preemptive strike to dominate a market that's projected to be worth nearly $8 billion by next year. This is all part of a massive new pact with Reliance Jio, India's largest telecom operator. The deal gives users the Google AI Pro plan, which includes the powerful Gemini 2.5 Pro model and a massive 2 terabytes of cloud storage. The rollout will be staggered, starting with users aged 18 to 25 on unlimited 5G plans, before eventually becoming available to the entire customer base. But this isn't just a generous giveaway, it's a strategic power play in a market that is heating up fast. Google is making a direct move to dominate India's massive digital landscape, a country with the highest number of global users for platforms like YouTube and WhatsApp. The real prize here isn't just the user numbers, it's the data. This is the Great Indian Data Harvest. India is one of the most linguistically and culturally complex regions in the world. By getting access to how millions of people communicate, Google can train its AI to understand countless languages, dialects, and even code switching patterns like English. This data is invaluable for making its AI models smarter and more capable on a global scale. And of course, Google isn't playing this game alone. The competition is already on the field. Just recently, India's second largest telecom operator, Bharti Airtel, partnered with rival AI firm Perplexity to offer its 360 million customers a free Pro plan. And just this week, OpenAI reportedly announced it would make its ChatGPT Go plan free in India for a year. What we're seeing is a full-blown land grab for what could be the most important AI market of the next decade. The prize is access to India's 377 million Gen Z consumers, a group that drives $860 billion in spending. This rollout is essentially a national-scale social experiment. Giving these powerful AI tools to hundreds of millions of young people could revolutionize education, but it also comes with huge risks. Research shows that 81% of Indians are already concerned about AI-generated false information, and 86% believe deepfakes will impact future elections. This move will fundamentally test the integrity of information in a country already battling misinformation. This isn't just about free apps. It's a high-stakes battle between the world's biggest tech giants, using India's massive telecom networks as the battlefield to acquire hundreds of millions of users and define the future of artificial intelligence. And here's where it gets interesting. The very nature of this battlefield is changing. With both Jio and Airtel bundling AI directly with their phone plans, these telecom companies are becoming the new primary gatekeepers for AI services. They're bypassing the traditional app stores. This completely shifts the power dynamic, making it incredibly difficult for smaller AI startups to compete if they can't afford a massive partnership with a telecom giant. We were just talking about the mad rush for AI adoption in India, but that hype doesn't always translate to success. In fact, another major industry is finding that out the hard way. A new survey from JLL highlights a staggering gap between ambition and reality. Over 90% of commercial real estate occupiers are running AI pilots, but only 5% have actually achieved their goals. That's a huge disconnect. A while back, we talked about AI pilot purgatory, that frustrating phase where big AI deals get signed but never seem to generate real revenue. Well, it looks like the commercial real estate industry is living in it. Just 2 years ago, only 5% were even starting AI pilots. Now, nearly everyone is on board, with most companies running an average of 5 AI projects at once. According to JLL's Chief Technology Officer, Yao Morin, the high rate of adoption is quite surprising for an industry that is traditionally skeptical of new technology. This isn't just surprising, it's a strategic gamble. Researchers call this the leapfrog strategy. Instead of a slow, steady climb up the AI maturity ladder, like we saw in finance or tech, CRE firms are trying to jump straight to the top, bypassing those early stages to rapidly gain a competitive edge in a challenging market. But what's not surprising, she notes, is the low success rate. This echoes what we've discussed before about pilot purgatory, which is in line with what's happening in other industries. Interestingly enough, the reason for the massive failure rate isn't what you might think. Companies aren't just failing at simple tasks. The goal line itself has moved. They have gone beyond using AI for basic operational efficiency and are now trying to tie it directly to revenue goals, using it to improve high-stakes investment risk models and portfolio decisions. The biggest fight isn't over algorithms, it's over data. Commercial real estate data is notoriously private, messy, and fragmented. When we place CRE's data problem alongside the strategy of a company like SAP, which leverages decades of structured business data, the contradiction becomes clear. CRE doesn't have that luxury. They have to win this unseen data war sourcing, cleaning, and structuring massive exclusive data sets. That's where many of these projects are secretly failing. And there's an even bigger risk here. When you use a complex, often unexplainable I model a black box to recommend $1 billion deal who is legally and financially responsible if it all goes wrong. This is a huge question of liability that the industry is just now starting to grapple with. Despite the economic headwinds and poor results, they are pouring money into the technology. More than half of investors surveyed have seen significant budget growth for AI, with their top expense being strategic advisory. This spending actually reveals a massive internal knowledge gap. It's created a gold rush for AI consultants. It reminds me of what we heard from an exec at SAP a while ago, who stressed how important it is that we are not only selling into a hype, but that we see real adoption. That's the core challenge for these firms, sorting the real experts from the hype. Research shows that many organizations struggle to prove a clear financial return from AI, making it incredibly hard to know if this advisory spending is actually paying off. But perhaps the most surprising finding, according to Morin, is that companies are skipping the simple, low-risk applications. Instead, they are going straight for the jugular, focusing on using AI to gain a competitive advantage and solve their most pressing business problems. The industry isn't just testing the waters, it's diving headfirst into the deep end. This high-stakes approach is set to completely redefine the role of the people in this industry. The future likely isn't about replacing the high-paid broker or analyst, but about creating a new kind of AI augmented professional, someone who can manage the machine, interpret its outputs, and combine its data crunching power with human intuition and relationships. The ones who can master this new partnership with technology will become more valuable than ever.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.